Let's talk about bomb techs today. We're going to talk about bomb techs a little bit and content strategy. So, hey, Getty, welcome in. Glad you're here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about content strategy, but we're going to talk about it in the frame of this idea that I think is really relevant to explaining how this works. So, if you've ever wondered about content strategy projects, and if you've ever been trying to figure out how to move into them, or if you have been, I'm pulling out my notes. So, if you've ever been wondering how to price them, what deliverables are included, we're going to go over all of that today. But first, we have to talk about this idea of how this actually works. So, when we're doing our content strategy projects, this is kind of like if you spent any time with me, we've talked about messaging and positioning. Hold on. There we go. Okay. We've talked about messaging and positioning. This is kind of like that. Hey, Vicky, welcome in. I like the wave. Hey, Vesda, welcome in. Thanks for hanging out. So we are doing these content strategy things after we already know a ton of stuff about our niche and about content and about SEO and about how and why content is created, specific goals that are needed, and why specific niches need specific types of content. So I just love that little wave thing. I think that's so funny. So that's when we're getting into content strategy. So we have to think about it. Hey, Annie, welcome in. The doggos say hello. They're all wrapped up over there. This is like Charlotte and Bo hardly ever touch each other. Like they hardly ever snuggle. So like this is Charlotte's butt right here. So if Bo's like that close, like that's a thing. Hi, Margaret. Welcome in. So here's the deal. The puppers say hello. They're all snuggly right now. So let's talk about this. What the deal is that when you're doing these content strategy projects, you are getting paid a bunch of money to be like a bomb tech. To like, not only do you know different types of explosives, or the different arrays of content, why those things are valuable, how to create them, what types of things, like which part of the sales funnel they belong in, like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. You understand how those different types of content can be shared. You understand why those different types of content make sense for different niches. So the deal is that you're going in as a bomb tech. You already know the different types of explosives. You know that like this bomb is typically in this area, or this thing happens over here. And you're getting paid to know which wire to cut so that not everybody explodes. You are coming in as a very specialized type of content strategist, content writer, content marketing writer, right? You're coming in because you know which wire to cut. It's a dangerous, right? You don't want it to be like, you just go in and make it dangerous and cut all these things and just go crazy. What you want to do is have a very specialized approach to it. And I think this is the best way to think about it, is like when I talk about pricing, and this is the same thing with messaging and positioning. When we talk about pricing, people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people charge that much for those projects. It's because you know which wire to cut. It's the same thing as when people have a plumber come out and they're like, why is the plumber charging me so much? They were only here for 5 minutes. You're paying for all of the knowledge and experience for that plumber to come out there and be like, oh, it's that. Instead of an inexperienced plumber to come out there and fart around for 30 to 40 minutes or an hour or 2 hours and be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I got to call somebody else. You're paying, all of that content strategy is paying for all of the knowledge, niche expertise, experience, the trials and errors that you've made. Like it's paying for all of those things that you've built up over the last few years. Like that's the best way I can describe it, is like people get frustrated by that, right? Like a plumber or like somebody comes to your house and they spend 5 seconds. They're like, it's that. And you're like, why am I paying you $1,000 for you to figure out that it was that? And then you do it and the work takes like 3 minutes. It's because of that. You're paying for the value of experience and not time, but value of experience that they've gained over the last 10 years, right? This is something that I think is a really important concept to understand. Us writers, like I have seen this with a bunch of writers where they see a price tag and they're like, oh my God, like it sounds like you're doing no work and you should be charging like way less. Or it sounds like, like I just want to get into that project because you can charge a lot of money. those projects, content strategy projects, become major failures if you don't have all of that experience. They become huge problems if you can't discern and you can't go into all of these things and say like, no, 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 yes, 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 no, no, no. And if you don't have good research skills and a good foundation to kind of figure out like, well, obviously it can't be this wire, it has to be this wire. Or obviously in this situation, it could be one of two wires and I need to go figure out a little bit more to see which one it is. These are the types of things I think you should keep in your mind. It's like you are getting paid for the value of experience that you have gathered in their niche, in the writing projects you've done, in the SEO stuff you've done, understanding what works and what doesn't, why things are happening, right? Why things are happening, why you should do things, why you need certain goals, why you should focus on these pillars, all of that stuff. That is what you're getting paid for. You're not necessarily getting paid for like churning out a ton of work. And this is a project, this is like a concept freelance writers struggle with all the time. They come from this background where they're getting paid by amount of work, right? They're used to working like, you know, like they're like used to working like those donkeys at the Grand Canyon where they take people down and take people up, you know, every day they take people down and take people up. And it's based on like all of this hard work of going up and down the Grand Canyon, right? That's not what we're doing. We are the pilot that takes the helicopter tour over the Grand Canyon. Okay. I think these are good analogies, at least in my mind. I hope they're helpful for you. But the deal is that we're not the donkey. We're not going up and down this complicated route on the Grand Canyon where like the trail is really short and we are really slim and we have to be really careful. That's not what we're doing. We're the helicopter pilot that like makes sure you don't die in this complicated piece of machinery while we take you on this long tour around the Grand Canyon, because if the thing goes down, we're all dying and that's a big deal. So that's the difference. I came up with this bomb tech idea just because I feel like, and the plumber idea, because that I think is the most close to what the thought process and idea is. You have to know which wires to cut. You have to be able to come in, analyze a situation, analyze what they've been doing, see all their marketing, see their sales funnel, see like what kind of content they've been creating, and be like, oh, you're messing up here, here, here. Here's how we move forward based on a bunch of research, and your competitors, here's how we do this. You have to be able to do that kind of analysis. And that's what you're getting paid for. You're getting paid like the plumber who comes in, looks at it for a few minutes, and they're like, oh, obviously it's this. I've seen this problem a dozen times. It's obviously this. Versus the plumber that comes in and has no idea what it is, has never seen that problem before, and has to spend tons and tons of time, and then maybe has to call in an outside expert. Or you're the bomb tech where you spend all this time getting training and experience, right? Bomb techs are constantly going through training and experience because there's always new types of explosives. There's always different ways these things are working out. There's always like different situations to learn about, and they are a very specialized group, right? That's why they are get called in, right? They don't just, right? They send so-and-so, right? They send the local cops, then they send somebody else, then maybe they send, you know, I think the bomb techs are part of the SWAT team. So like they come in way later in the process and they get paid the big bucks, right? Because they have a very important job. And it's a very critical, ours is obviously not as scary or dangerous as a bomb tech. So let's just say that. But I think this is a good analogy in that you have to know which wires to cut. You have to be able to analyze the situation. You have to be able to keep everybody, you know, on the same path. Everybody stays safe. We're all on the same page. And I think that's really important. So we're laying the foundation there. So think about content strategy and becoming a content strategist like that. It's not that you get these big projects and you're like, yeah, I can charge $10,000. No, the deal is that you're getting paid for like years of experience. So if anything, it's like way less than what your work is worth because you are pulling on a big knowledge base. You're pulling on a big data library that lives in your mind. All right, so let's talk about the other things in here. So let's talk about content strategy packages. The deal is that for me, I have developed different packages because, and let's just like back up a little bit. I love content strategy work. When I first started doing it, I was like, oh, you idiot. You should have been doing this a long time ago. It was something that I was really afraid to get into because I thought I wouldn't have enough knowledge and I thought I wouldn't be qualified enough, even though I've been writing in a bunch of these niches for years and years and years. I was just like, oh, I can't possibly do it. And then I started doing these projects and I was like, oh, this is what I should be doing. Like, this is what I really like. I love writing, of course, but the content strategy piece is just like really fascinating to me. So I like to combine those things. And a lot of times with my content strategy projects, I end up doing some deliverables like reported articles or case studies or white papers or infographics or guides or downloads or something like that, that I add in content in amongst doing the content strategy stuff. So it combines them both. So while I've been doing content strategy, I feel like for me, what makes the most sense is to have different packages because different places have different needs. And it's easier for me with content strategy to move things. Don't sit on her. Oh gosh, every time you just love sitting on her. She hates it. She just like hates it. So when you're doing these content strategy packages, what makes sense is that it's easier to cut deliverables up into different packages versus like a regular content project. Hey, Virginia, welcome in. We're glad you're here. Here you go, buddy. All right, buddy, you have to go back to your hobbit hole because Charlotte doesn't like you sitting on her. All right, go back to your hobbit hole. Go over there and get your, well, it's over there. Use your daytime vision. Ready? It's over there. Okay, there we go. All right, Charlotte, go back to your hobbit hole. Good girl. All right, Charlotte, show everybody your skills. High five. Good job. Other one. Good job. Get out of her face. Get out of her face. She doesn't want you in her face. Can you lay down? Thank you. All right, Charlotte. Let's put your blanket Sherpa on. All right, everybody. I don't know if we've ever done this on a live stream, but we call Charlotte a blanket Sherpa. She likes to wear her blankets around, and she drags them all around the house like a little blanket Sherpa. There you go. Now you look like a lady. Lady Charlotte. Which I guess, is not that far away because there is Princess Charlotte with the royal family. And so, hey, Daria, welcome in. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Daria. If it's not Daria, if it's Daria, let me know what's going on. Ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, buddy. All right. Ooh. Beard. 1, 2, 3, dog. You're close. All right, high five. Good job. Other one. Good job. So with normal projects, your content with normal projects, your content for me is sometimes harder to put into packages because I get people that are like, I want 2 case studies, an ebook, and 4 articles. And then I have other people that are like, we just want all case studies and we want this and different word counts and different things. So for me, I don't have packages for my regular content marketing work. It's just too custom. It changes too often. Thank you guys for welcoming each other in, by the way. I think that's really nice. One of the things I really love about doing this live stream is that we can all welcome in each other and get to know everybody. And I think it's really nice. So thank you for welcoming everybody in. Like Dairy Queen. So Daria. What did I say? Daria? I guess Daria like that old cartoon, right? Like, so Daria like Dairy. So we have Daria like Dairy Queen and Shara like Shara Pizza. Okay. So Daria like Dairy Queen. Okay, I'll remember that. So here's the deal. No, blanket Sherpa, go back to your hobbit hole. When we're doing content strategy packages, there are certain deliverables. Oh, which leads me to, let me put them in here so we can, oh, you know what? I may not have enough room. Hold on. 1 second. Okay, let's talk about this. So 1 second. All right, let me see if I can put this in so that we can all see it, because I think this would be helpful in explaining what I'm being chit-chatty about. Oops. Now I messed something up. All right, everybody, hang on. I messed something up. 1 second. I'm trying to... Oh, my gosh. Everybody calm down. Yes, delete. Thank you. Okay. Go back to the original. Okay, here we go. Let's figure this out. All right. Peeps, let's see if we can actually see this. I think the font will be too small, but let's try this. Okay, can we see this? Okay, it's very problematic. Here we go. Okay, so... let's see if we can figure this out together, everybody. Okay, Let me see if I can make this so that it's not totally everywhere. Oh, good. There I made a huge mess. All right. Let's try again, everybody. Here's the deal. This is what okay. This is very small font. Thanks for hanging in there for the small font. Maybe I can just like move over. There we go. All right. So here's the deal. Thank you for being patient with my tech challenges. Okay. So this is the deal. This is what my content strategy, like everything in it, looks like. So my biggest package, right? This is what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'm just double checking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah. So this is what my biggest package looks like. So, hi Grumpy. Go back to your hobble, please. Thank you. Back up. All right. Now stay here and be a blanket Sherpa. Sorry. I didn't mean to shock you there. There you go. Okay. So when I do my biggest package, these are all the deliverables. Sometimes this changes. So the deal is that something that I find really helpful, so I'm going to put this as a link. I'm going to put this as a link in the description. The deal is that I started creating these types of things from Adrienne Smith. So it's ADRIENNE Smith. Actually, her thing is K. Adrienne K. Smith, SMITH.com. I'm going to put it in the description below. But she has templates that you can buy. They are rock star. They are amazing. You should buy them. They're worth every penny. That's what I based mine off of. That's how I started understanding what do we actually deliver. And the cool thing about Adrienne Smith's stuff is she has a free email course about content strategy where she walks you through like, here's what you should know. And here are the things that you should deliver, and here's how to do these things. And I found that very helpful. There was a bunch of things that, you know, we learned about content strategy, but I felt like her delivery and the way she did it was really great. So if you want to go check out more about content strategy stuff and have actual templates, Adrienne Smith has great ones. Someday I'll make my own. I'm still playing with the formats, and I'm still figuring out like what I want to include, because some of my clients have asked me to do like a sales funnel analysis. So I created this big giant page of like their sales funnel analysis and what it actually looks like and the different types of funnels and, you know, like the funnel versus the flywheel approach. And I'm still playing with stuff. So I think Adrienne has a really great package and it's worth every penny. So I'll put that link in the description, but this is what it looks like. So if someone picks my biggest package, and I'll just tell you now it's $30K. So when we do this $30K package, this has a workshop. So the workshop can be a while. Like it could be an hour or 2 hours. It depends. So what you want to do in this workshop is walk with the team through all of the things that are currently happening, right? What's actually happening right now? Where are we supposed to go? And how do we kind of like get there? So what you're saying is like, all right, here are the products. These are the things, the products or services that we offer. This is our target ideal audience or who we think they are, right? So a lot of times what ends up happening is you have this target audience where they're like, it should be this. And you're like, that's kind of close, but it actually should be this. Now, the difference there is that experience I'm talking about. It's because you, like for me, a lot of my content strategy work is in hospitality tech, like food or food products or food equipment, and then prop tech and like different types of things that I've been working with and I know about for years and years and years. So I'm taking the fact that I'm like, okay, I get it that you think this is your actual audience, but your audience is actually this, right? We were taking the difference between someone saying our audience is restaurant owners, and you say like, that's nice, but your audience is actually restaurant owners who are budget conscious and really want to invest in something, but they don't want to invest like in an unsmart way. They want to invest in one specific thing that helps them for years to come, or something that they can roll out into franchises. Like you need to get a little more specific than just restaurant owners. Or there's a big difference here, and this is something that you get over years, right? Like the way a full service restaurant runs is way different than a fast casual or a fine casual or a ghost kitchen or a food truck, like all of them run so differently. And you have to know these nuances between how they run, how their service operates, how they run front of house and back of house, what types of POS systems make the most sense for them. Do they need like on the go tech? Is their customer someone who wants an experience or customer that's just trying to fill their belly and move on with their life? These are all these different things that you have to know as you get into these projects. That's why these things are really high paid projects. You are pulling from that deep and expansive content library, okay? That's really important. That giant experience bubble that lives in your brain, that library, hi Sassy, um, those things, right? They're informing all of the choices you are helping a company to make. And most of the time when someone is coming to you, right? Someone's coming to you and saying, oh, we got a real woo in there. You go back to your hovel hole, or I'm going to pick you up and squeeze you. Um, so you are pulling on the content library, the experience library, the niche expertise library. The other thing to point out here is when we're breaking down their funnel and we're talking to employees and we are figuring out which channels, and channels are like social media. So LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any, like if they do webinars, all that stuff. You have to know the difference between all those platforms, what works and what doesn't, what types of content make the most sense, what types of content are working for their audience. Then you also have to figure out like, okay, where does this fit in all the sales funnel stuff? What do they think their sales funnel is? What is their actual sales funnel? Where does all this content go, right? Like, where should we put these different things? Like, which part, like, where does a case study go? Is it top of funnel? Is it middle of funnel? Is it bottom of funnel? Why does it go there? Because you're going to have to explain that sometimes. There are lots of different things that we have to know about marketing, that we have to know about that specific type of business, that we have to know about who reads the content and why, who will buy the product and service and why. We are getting paid for all of these things that we are then going to go in and just lead the workshop. So I'm hoping that by the time I'm telling you about this workshop, you're already seeing why this is such a high paid project. You have to be the leader of all of this content strategy. You have to be the leader of their content marketing efforts. The other thing is that when you come in here and do this, these projects live on. You are doing content strategy for like a year or multiple different years, right? So sometimes people take a content strategy and it works for multiple different years, which is great. They get tons of value out of that. And it should. Most of the content strategy should work for quite some time. You need to adjust, probably play with SEO, probably play with platforms, try to figure out what, maybe refine your audience. You're like, hey, we figured out that we like fine casual and fast casual, and we're going to ditch food trucks and we're going to ditch ghost kitchens. But the deal is that I'm hoping that you are seeing already why you have to have a big knowledge base to do these projects, and then also why you're getting paid for the value that you're bringing to the table. You're also getting paid for the amount of work you're doing here. So the more that you do this work, the quicker it becomes, obviously. But the deal is that this is a lot of brain time, and it's a lot of research, and it's a lot of analysis. You're getting paid for the ability to take everything in the sandbox and then kind of shake it out and see like what toys are left, which toys you actually need, and which toys you should play with. Hi. Can you stop grumbling? We're trying to do some important stuff here, and you're over here making a sass factory. No, you have to back up. I'm going to pick you up and squeeze you. Back up. All the way. Back up all the way. All the way. Back up. Back up. Back up. You're I see that no, back up. Back up. There you go. All right, ready? High five. Other one. Other one. Other one. No, other one. Other one. Other one. Good girl. Other one. That one. Yeah, good girl. Good job. All right, Barry. 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, Barry, you're so close. All right, Barry. Ready? Why don't you go get it over there? There we go. Charlotte doesn't like when you're all up in her grill. All right, Charlotte. High five. Good job. Okay. So, here I am in the middle of the thing. So, let's move on. Competitive analysis, really critical. So, I'll back up and I'll show you guys my other packages. This is my most intensive one, and because it goes through so many different things. And you will see through these packages which things are most critical to just get done, right? Like, let's say someone doesn't want to do the super ultimate package, right? And they're like, you know what? We actually excuse me, we actually just need this part or this part. And you'll see based on like me doing this work, why you need these things. Okay, competitive analysis, probably one of the most important things you turn in as a deliverable here. So what that means is you're showing the competitor analytics from their social media channels, from their likes, shares, posts, whatever, what types of keywords are working for them. You're showing their positioning and messaging, like how they actually position their product and the messaging they use to talk about their product. You're talking about their audience. You're talking about the content that works the best for them, both on social media and on their website and everywhere else. You're also talking, and everywhere else could be like their top producing content is like a podcast they were on or a talk that they gave. You're also talking about a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and oh my gosh, why did I just forget that? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and oh my gosh, why did I just forget that? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and what's the T? I've done this like a ton of times. I don't know why I'm forgetting what the T is. I'm gonna Google it because I don't know why I'm forgetting. Like sometimes my brain just doesn't want to party. My brain is just like, no, today you're gonna be a dum-dum. Hold on. SWOT analysis. Okay. Threats. There we go. Threats. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Wow. Okay. I'm having a day. Thanks for hanging in there. So, threats are basically, right, let's go through each one. So strengths, things they're doing well, things they're rock star on, things they're doing better than competitors. Weaknesses, things that they suck at, things they're not doing well, things that competitors are doing better. Opportunities, places where their competitors have holes that this company is doing better that they can now capitalize in terms of creating content to show their differentiators. Threats, things their competitors are knocking out of the park, right? Things they're like, boop, they're giving it the old home run, and you're like, okay, this is what's really threatening you right now. And knowing those things is really important. Thank you, Daria, like Dairy Queen. Okay, I'm gonna get it. Daria like Dairy Queen. Thank you for putting that in there. I don't know why I forgot that. I've done this a bunch of times. My brain just like is not having a party today. So here's the deal. Those are really important. Giving them, oh my gosh. Okay, you might have to get fired. You might have to be fired out of this room. Come here, I'm gonna squeeze you. Okay. All right. Hello, I love you too. All right, so here's the deal. Don't lick her right now. All right. No, you can't have party time in here. You guys are out of control today. So the deal is that, all right, I'll give you a little something. All right, Barry, go back to your hobble hole. Go back to your hobble hole. All right, Charlie Bean. High five. Other one. Other one. Good job. All right. Can you lay down? There you go. Okay. So the deal is that this is the most important thing. So if you walk away with anything from this live stream today, or if you're watching the replay, competitive analysis is one of the most important things that you turn in besides obviously the strategy itself. This is telling them all of these different things they need to know about how they can move forward, what their competitors are doing, what types of content is working for them, what types of stuff on social works for them, what types of messaging and positioning works for them. Like, how does their company actually operate? It's super important because obviously they need to do better than their competitors to get more clients. They need to show that they are different. So here's the deal. As we move through this, we then do our content audit. Our content audit is going to go through all of the content they currently have. That means it goes through essentially their website, their blog, their social media platforms, anything that you think is valuable to go through in all of the content that they have, the types of things they have in their funnel, where it, like the strengths and weaknesses of it. I also do a SWOT analysis on this. So I go through strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in their content or their content audit. This is really important in showing them from your viewpoint, like, hey, this is what you rock at. This is what you suck at. This is where you actually have an opportunity to grow and see more sales and do cool stuff and use content in a smart way. And these are all the things that your competitors are knocking out of the park. So put that in the noodle because you might need it later. That's really important. The next thing is we're going to talk about their critical insights, which is basically going through everything, all of your discoveries. This is where you're going to pretty much give them a presentation. So you give them a presentation for their competitive analysis, and you give them a presentation for their review of critical insights. The review of critical insights is the review of all the major, really important findings that you think they need to know about going forward in their business and their content, how they're positioning all of their stuff, their opportunities for growth, all of that cool stuff. That's really important because that sets the stage for you then giving them their content strategy outlook. So then we kind of move on to the actual strategy, right? So we have to do these in different phases because you can't do a strategy without a bunch of things. You can't do a strategy without knowing about competitors. You can't do a strategy without looking at their content and seeing what they're doing. You can't do a strategy without going through these critical insights with your client, because your client needs to give you feedback. Your client needs to be like, you're going in the right direction, or this sucks and we need to figure it out. You need to have these things available so that you and your client are on the same page, going in the right direction. You understand their business, you understand like all this stuff, and they're saying like, oh, this is the next level. This is how we're going there. So then we actually get to the deck, right? The content strategy deck is another presentation. I like to do pillars. So for me, I put in a bunch of different things in the content strategy deck. So we talk about KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. This is usually like a chart and then also a list. So they have a bunch of things that say like, here are the things you think about when you're creating content and why this matters. These are KPIs you should pay attention to. These are your content pillars, right? And if you're confused about content pillars, go to HubSpot. They have like a bajillion resources on pillars. And then you're kind of going through why they should have certain goals, their objectives with those things, the topic clusters / pillars, right, that they should be paying attention to. Those things kind of go together. And then you kind of want to use their target audience things here. Like this is where you take the analysis of what they originally told you about their target audience and you give them like 3 to 5 examples of like, here's what your customer really actually needs, right? Like one sentence about like, right, like a fast casual restaurant owner who is budget conscious but needs equipment that serves a multitude of different purchases, right? So they are making smart purchases, but when they make a purchase, it has to be for something that actually does a multitude of different functions. They're not going to buy single-use machines, right? Or single-use equipment. So we have to know all these things in order to get to the analysis part. The content strategy is not just like pulling it out of your ass and being like, you should do this. No, this is a very strong analysis point. You have to take all the research and all the things that you just realized, plus your experience and your niche expertise and the things about their business and the things about their competitors. And you have to put it in here and shake it all around and then cut out the things that don't make sense, put all your analysis together and create the deck, okay? Then we're going to figure out from all of that analysis, now that we know the pillars, the KPIs, the audiences, where do we actually put this? Like, is your best shot LinkedIn? Are your competitors killing it on YouTube? Does it turn out that your audience is actually younger than you thought and it's really Instagram that would show your best stuff? This is where we start talking about like, where are they actually going? Now that we know the types of content we should create in what buckets, right? Which is our pillars and our topic clusters, right? That's when we get to the point where we're like, where do we actually put it out so it gets the best work? Do you speak with their clients? So Virginia says, do you speak with their clients? No, I don't. The only time I do is when I do a case study at the end. So like if I end up doing, like let's say I do all of this. Let's say I do this whole thing, right? Actually, I guess it's backwards. Yeah, there it is. So if I do this whole thing right here, and I end up doing content at the end, like they're like, hey, we want you to do the full package, plus we want you to do 3 case studies. That's when I talk to their clients, like their end user, right? The person who buys the equipment, the person who buys the product or service. But I don't really need to, because I have, like I said, like that's the thing about these projects. That's why you're getting paid the big bucks. I've already talked to their client thousands of times, okay? I've talked to thousands of restaurant owners, from like the fanciest restaurants to like the very smallest food trucks and ghost kitchen. I've talked to thousands of people in real estate. I've talked to thousands of people in prop tech. I have used all of my experience from doing reported articles and for working for different clients to the fact that like, I don't really need to. Like, I know the pain points of someone who runs a fast casual restaurant versus the pain points of someone who runs full service. I know the pain points of someone who is running a restaurant and needs something like a robot tech thing to, like, this was one of my clients, was like a certain robot to make a certain product, right? They're like, I just want to like put it in there, have it make it, and then pull it out. I want to be able to have variety. And I don't need to, because I've already spoken to them so many times. It's been like beaten into my brain, right? I've talked to so many different people off across so many different niches. I'm able to pull that. Then the actual like icing on that cake, right? So my cake is like, I've already talked to thousands of their potential clients over many, many years. Two, I'm taking all of this good stuff, my research, what they told me, the things, like I always have a Google Drive folder where I'm like, you need to put in all of your marketing collateral so that I can go through all of it. I've already done a ton of research. Like, I'm putting all of these things together. So the icing is like, they're giving me information, they're giving me research, they're giving me all their marketing materials. I am doing my own competitor research. I am looking into what's going on, but I have these things come together. I'm using my knowledge bank and I'm adding in the research and analysis and what they're giving me on top of that. So this is to me a non-factor because I already know their clients. That's why I'm doing this work. This is the important part. Like, your content marketing stuff is down here. Your content strategies, well, actually, let's back that up. Your content strategy stuff is down here. We need to set the foundation with a content strategy. Your content marketing writing is like executing the strategy, right? So the stuff you need to know down here is the nitty gritty, lots of details, right? The stuff you need to do here is like write the freaking blog post, right? That's the level. So you have to have a lot of knowledge. You have to have a lot of background in order to do the content strategy stuff. Then the content marketing writing, the blog post, the case study is like a no-brainer because you've already done all the groundwork with the content strategy. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to go over is like our activation is like actually checking the KPIs. Are these the right KPIs? Are we tracking the right things? Does this make sense? Are things actually happening? Then we go into the content roadmap, which is basically like giving them an idea of like where they should put things when. Like when do you post this? Who's posting it? It's like an accountability spreadsheet, and it tells them like, here's the process for doing everything. So when you say like, you need to create case studies, white papers, and reported articles, your roadmap says, here are all the steps to do those things, right? Here, you got to get interviews done. You have to write it. You find a writer. You have to write it. You have to edit it. You have to set it up for publishing. You actually have to publish it. Your roadmap is walking them through each step-by-step process of publishing the actual content that's recommended, and it has it through the whole year. So one side of this spreadsheet is like, here's all the types of content. The other side of the spreadsheet is like days of the year where they have to assign like, hey, here's when we're going to do this. And it helps them map out which part of the process of creating the content is getting done when. The editorial calendar piece is telling them what types of ideas they should publish over a 12-month period, when, what platforms, and what they should be. So when I do an editorial calendar, I'm coming in with ideas saying like, oh, you know, it looks like we should do more thought leadership and case studies. Here's January's content. You should publish one case study in January and then publish one case study per quarter, publish every other week on LinkedIn posts, publish every other week on your blog, share these things on YouTube here, or not YouTube, on Instagram here, share these things on LinkedIn here. This is like the big map of like executing the strategy that you just put in place. Then you have like this little thing that says like, is this spreadsheet that says, here you go. Here's how to track how many things you've actually done when. That's the content completed tracker. All right, Charlotte, you're really just out of control today. All right, Barry, can you go back to your hobble hole? Go back to your hobble hole, Barry. All right, Charlotte, show everybody your skills. High five, good job. High five, good job. High five, good job. Other one. Yeah, good job. So I'm hoping that this is a really good explanation of why this costs so much money. It is a lot of work. It's not a lot of deliverables, okay? So when we're looking at this, you're like, okay, cool. It looks like they're doing 12 deliverables, right? The actual work that goes into delivering those things, or like doing the workshop or monitoring things, that's a lot of work. And it's a lot of brain power. It takes a lot to analyze things and know which direction to go and to have used your thousands of interviews you've done speaking with all of their potential clients over the years to like figure out what's right and what's wrong. So now, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything about content strategy or whatever else you got in mind for freelance writing. If you, hold on. If you feel like this has been helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a content strategy business or a high earning freelance writing business, subscribe. I always do this, but I know the subscribe button's like over here somewhere. I don't know. Also, I just want to do a quick shout out to my Mighty Ducks shirt today. If you're like loving the Mighty Ducks are like one of my favorite movies. So let's talk about the other packages before we kind of hop off. So the other deal with these packages is, all right, so if I was going to do, like I do my mid-range, hold on. So, hold on. All right, let's see if we can figure this out now. Okay, here we go. So if I was going to do a mid-range package, there it is. So this is my mid-range one. So my biggest one is 30, this one is 20, and then the last one is 15. So this is from me understanding which things can be cut from the 30K package to still be valuable for someone to get a lot out of their strategy. Like, let's say they're like, hey, we're going to do our own editorial calendar. We're going to do our own KPIs. We're going to do our own stuff. Like, we don't need to do that. We just want you to do the strategy and kind of like get some info on our competitors. Cool. This package is for you. So the deal is we're doing similar content, right? We're doing similar stuff, but it's just cut down. And it's cut down in a strategic, specific way that they're getting the things that are most useful to them, right? This package, I cut it down in this way because after you do the big package, you're like, okay, if someone didn't have 30K, but they had 20K, or if someone didn't want the big package because they've already done a workshop, they've already done a bunch of other things, they just want certain meaty things, they just need part of it. This is that part. This is what's most useful to them. And without certain parts, it's not going to be helpful. So the deal is that, yes, Charlie Conway is not my favorite character in there, but my favorite movie ever is The Sandlot. So like, I'd have to go with like Mighty Ducks 2 when Benny the Jet Rodriguez starts playing hockey. So there's that. Hi, Bean. So, but Charlie is a good character, right? So here's the deal with our content strategy stuff. Thanks for dealing with all my sidebars today. So this is why we have a second package, is like people may not have a bigger budget, but they still need some content strategy stuff done. They might have already done some of the things in your biggest package. So they're like, hey, we just need kind of the mid-range. We just need, the deck. We need the competitive stuff. We need to know what our content is doing, right? Which is our audit. And we need to kind of know like steps moving forward. That's this package. And if we are going to end up doing our lightest package, hold on one second. Everybody stay tuned as I try to figure this out. I know this is very tiny font. I know like we're working on it, doing the best we can. Okay. This is the smallest one. This is the smallest package. So this for me, this is giving them stuff that they need, right? This is like the minimum of stuff that they need at the smallest amount of money, but it still gives them content strategy. It still gives them competitor stuff, and it still gives them like a SWOT analysis so they can kind of figure out like, hey, where are we going? All of these things build on top of each other. So I'm hoping that as like, if you watch this as a replay or if you're watching it live, you can see why it's shrinking. You can see why certain things are cut and which things are most important. So if it's just kind of like a bare bones content strategy, someone comes to you and they're like, we want a bare bones we want a bare bones content strategy. Okay. That's this to me. After doing these projects, this is the stuff that's like, if you need content strategy, these are the things you need the most. And this is the minimum. Otherwise, to me, it's not worth doing. There are other people who charge like 5 to 10K for their content strategy stuff, but they don't have as many deliverables. They also don't include a bunch of extra things. So like sometimes what ends up happening is I have clients, like I said, that want more sales funnel analysis, or they want you to tell them about like which content goes where and what it does and why it's working. They need you to explain to them the why, the how, and the goals. That's an extra deliverable, right? And sometimes I just include that because I'm like, well, that's necessary and that client really needs it. And yeah, I'll just throw it into this package because it's a natural flow of ideas. It's a natural flow of things. So the deal is, I think as you have more complex stuff and you have more value that you're bringing to the table with knowing your niches for years and talking to their potential customers for years, and that you know how to do all of these deliverables, you know how to do the research, you understand how to pull these different metrics together to show them why and how they should do something. You know how to analyze things. You understand why their competitors do what they do, but how this company is different and what they should do different to differentiate. All of these things are really important. Plus, I think when you're doing content strategy, you have to keep in mind the lifetime of that strategy. So this is something that I think is super important. All right, so we've seen the packages. We've talked about that. Let's talk about the lifetime of the strategy. So the lifetime of the strategy can be a year, right? Let's say you do the content, you do the editorial calendar, and it lasts for a year. And then, now I'm like standing in the wrong place. Here you go. Can you go back to your hobbit hole? I'm going to pick you up and squeeze you. Go back. All right, can you catch it? Can we show everybody your catching skills? Ready? Good job. All right, Bo, this is your time to shine. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, buddy. Ugh. Let's try again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good boy. All right. Virginia says, what is the content strategy deck? That's the presentation that you're giving them with the KPIs that they need to focus on, the content pillars or topic clusters and ideas for content, and then also like some competitor things they need to know. It is basically like a big giant, it's like, I think mine are like 40 to 60 slides. So when I end up putting my content strategy deck together, it's something that they can reuse over and over again, and it covers all these different things. That's why I think going to see the templates that Adrian Smith has as a foundation for understanding like how this works and what is actually in it is really, really helpful. So the content strategy deck includes all of those things. It's giving them goals and opportunities. It's telling them where they should put certain types of content and why. It's giving them the actual topic clusters to focus on. It's giving them those target audience things to pay attention to. And it is telling them like what is actually helping you measure success here. That's what KPIs are. It's telling them, all right, as you're executing this strategy, pay attention to these things. So I was on an idea before and now I've lost it. Hold on. So we were talking about content. Oh, value. So the value of this content strategy can last for a year. Let's say they just do the straight up editorial calendar. It can last for a year or it can last for like many years. The deal is that it depends on the company, how they adjust, how they're moving around, what their competitors are doing. We all know that the changes over the last few years have been rapid and violent, like very quick. So your content strategy evolves over time, but a lot of times you're really giving them a foundation that lasts for a long time. That costs money, okay? That's really important. That's not only are you bringing your own value to the table, you're bringing valuable information to them in the form of all these deliverables, which is really, really like stuff that they will refer to over and over and over again. You're also giving them something that they can reuse. Like they can continue to build off this strategy now for years. Like they can say, here's our old strategy. What do we need to do different? And then they fix it from there. That costs money. So I'm hoping that as you see the price tag, right? Like the smallest package for me is 15K and the highest is 30K. The middle one is 20. So 15, 20, 30 for the different packages. These things live for a long time. Okay, so for 30K, let's say they were going to do the 20K package, right? That means for less than $1,000 a month, they now have a content strategy that they keep referring to. They have tons of content ideas to execute. They have tons of ways to beat out their competitors. They have tons of things that is like a huge gold mine of reference material. The scope of 30K for a content strategy, like I have quoted that to many different people and they like, that's normal, right? They're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. It's not something, it sounds like a lot when you're used to doing blog posts for like $400 a blog post, right? It sounds like a big amount of money, right? And I used to think that like when I was moving more from like doing packages of like, hey, I do custom work, like here, if you tell me like your scope of your project, I can give you like a ballpark figure for that. like, you know, like I said, like 2 case studies and a white paper and like 3 ebooks and 4 blog posts, like that kind of stuff. When you move to these types of projects, you're pulling on a lot of stuff, and you know that these things last a long time and provide a lot of value. That's the deal. When you think lasting a long time, you have to think like that is the value, right? If something, you can give someone a deliverable, if you can give your content strategy deliverables to a client and they can keep referring to it and it's fresh enough to live for a long time, that is value. Value that is bringing them a ton of value over a very long period of time. So even if it was 30K, even if someone did the 30K package, right? That's what, like for 2,500, right? Is that right? Because it's not 2K, because 3K would be 36. So 2,500-ish a month. They're getting a long-lasting content strategy. They're getting all this info on their competitors. They're getting all this stuff they can keep executing. They have tons of ideas. They have an entire editorial calendar. They're getting a lot for that money. They're getting a lot of different things they can keep using. And then they're also getting a lot of reference material where, like, when they refresh their strategy or they look at their SEO stuff, or they need to look at their competitors because their competitors magically started doing webinars and that's really working well for them. So when they go back to those things, now they have a starting point. They have a foundation of the content strategy and all the deliverables you gave them. So this to me is like, I almost think like 30K is like, you know, still like you're giving them stuff that they, like some companies use these things for years and years and years, right? So let's say they use your content strategy for like 3 years. So for $10,000 a year, they now have something that they can repeat, right? The other thing to think about is that all of this, oh, Sassy, you have to back up. You have to back up or I'm gonna pick you up. Here, I'll pick you up. If you're gonna be a sassy Molassie, I got a sassy Molassie in here today. So the deal is that when you're doing these things, right? Here you go, buddy. Good boy. When you're doing these things, you have to think about all of these different factors, the value that you're bringing to the table, why you have different packages, the value of the thing, all of these deliverables to your client, how many times they actually use it, the value of giving them ideas. One of the things they struggle with the most are like just ideas. Remember, they work in their business every single day. They don't work with their competitors. They don't work with different clients. They work in that business every single day. So they can be very closed off to what's actually going on. You're bringing a fresh perspective. You're giving them so much, like it's just a big gold mine of value and information that they need to get sales. Remember that this content strategy, the whole goal of someone hiring you for content strategy is to make their company more money via content, okay? So if someone pays you 30K to go do this strategy, or 15K or 20K or 55K or whatever, because like let's say they end up doing the full package and then they end up wanting content for the rest of the year. Let's say they pay 30K, you do the strategy, and let's say they pay you another 25K to execute a bunch of content, a bunch of case studies, whatever, or white papers or blog posts, whatever. So the deal is that they're using all that stuff to get sales. So the 30K they give you is like minuscule compared to the amount of sales they will get. All of the content that's created from that strategy will live on, will bring them web traffic, will bring them opportunities, will bring them chances to be on podcasts, will bring them potential customers, will bring them better target audience members, will help them grow their email list. Like all of these things bring them lots of opportunities to grow their sales and to help their marketing team. That's like invaluable, right? So the scope of them giving you 30K or giving you whatever K, 15K or 10K, like let's say you decide to do a very small, like even, I don't know, you do as bare bones, minimal effort, 10K or something. The deal is that still brings them more than 10K in sales. Like I can, if they're executing the strategy, they're doing it properly, they're really paying attention, they're following all the metrics, they should get more, way more than that in sales, even if they have like a subscription product, right? So like, let's say they have a subscription product and it's $10 a month, or a service product that's $10 a month. And they should get way more than that in sales over the course of however long they use the strategy. So keep that in mind. It's not really about that it's a big price tag. It's that thing lasts And that thing lasting gives them value. It is something that is a reference material that they keep going back to. It's something that you are giving them all of your noodle. You're giving them the noodle that you've developed over however many years of speaking with their customer, understanding their niche, understanding what works and what doesn't, understanding why they need to be on certain platforms. There's so many things that you're putting into it. And then the execution of that, them getting sales from that, is just like so much bigger than what they're paying you to do. Okay. So I hope that that has been helpful so far. So last thing, if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat. Hold on one second. If you have questions, you can pop them in the chat. If you feel like this has been helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about freelance writing or building content strategy into your packages or into the work that you do, subscribe. If you're watching this on the replay and you have questions about content strategy, or you do content strategy in a different way, or you have different deliverables, pop them below. I'm always interested to hear about those. I'm always interested to hear like what types of things can I add to my strategy packages that will be more valuable, or what types of things that we can learn from other content strategists about helping our clients really not just like implement the strategy, but get results. I see you. I know. Come here. If you're going to make noise, I'm going to squeeze you. Come here. All right. I love you too. You're being a sassy molassie. Oof. Okay. I'm just going to hold her because she's being a pain. Thanks for the tail wags. All right. So here's the deal. When we are... Don't lick her. You guys are wild today. So when we're doing our content strategy stuff, I hope that this has been really helpful. Just try to remember that you're not coming at it as like, I would like to do a high-priced project. This sounds like a high-priced project and I want to do it. You're doing this as the next evolution of your business. So you have built up a long-standing knowledge base, and you have built up a long-standing relationship in that niche, right? You understand that niche very well. And you are now capitalizing on all that stuff. You're capitalizing on all this stuff that you've learned over all this span of time. This is the next part of your business. So you've written all these types of content. You've written all the blog posts, all the case studies, all the reported articles. You've talked to lots of people. You've had a bunch of different clients. You understand the different channels and why they're useful and why they're helpful. You understand all of the different, she is a ham bone. You understand all the different types of outlets, right? And you can't know everything, but you certainly know a lot. And this is the next piece. This is beyond creating content. This is giving them the foundation to start creating content. This is the backward step. So you normally probably are getting hired to create content right now, right? So you're doing your content marketing writing. You are executing the strategy. So you are actually doing all the things that somebody else came up with this strategy for. They're saying like, we know we need to do downloadables and infographics. You're executing that right now. In order to move backwards into being the person doing the content strategy for people, you have to know all of these different spiderwebby things. You have to be really good at research, analysis. You have to understand like why they're going that direction, because you can't just make a strategy and just say like, I think you should do this. You have to tell them why. You have to tell them how it works. You have to tell them how the goals align with them getting more subscribers, sales, traffic, people like actually understanding their product, getting them more opportunities for podcasts, or getting them more opportunities to be seen and build brand awareness, all of that stuff. So you have to kind of know all these things. All right, Vesna says, this was great. Oh man, I made it weird. Hold on, people. Well, this doesn't say it's weird. Hold on. I am just having a day. Okay. Vesna says, this is great. It was helpful to see the bigger picture of where everything fits in. A lot of peripheral stuff really clicked for me today. Oh, great. Good. I'm glad it did, Vesna. The deal is that I know that content strategy can sound a little bit like, for me, for a long time, I was just like, I don't even know what you would give them. Like for a long time, I heard about people being content strategists, and I was just like, what the F do you actually give people? Do you just give them a strategy? No. You have to do all of these things in order to help them see the full picture and help you see the full picture. That's why I designed my packages the way I did. Because without, at the very base level, the 15K package, you have to have those things in order to create the strategy. You can't just create the strategy without knowing what their competitors are doing or knowing like what types of content they're creating, or you have to know a whole bunch of things in order to give them a strategy that's valuable. You can't just give them a strategy and be like, have a great day. No, that's not how it works. That would be like, they'd be paying you money for nothing, and that's crazy time. So the deal is that we are capitalizing. I just think that's the best word. We are taking all of our knowledge to the next level, and we are helping people build things out, things that we already have done a ton of times, things we already understand. And I think for me, when I started in content strategy, I started too late. I started too late because I was so afraid that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing and they're not going to take my advice and da 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 da. And then when I started doing that, I was like, oh, I should have been doing this a long time ago. This is all stuff I already do. It's stuff I already know. So for me, I feel like I started too late. I should have started earlier. But you also need to find that nice balance of having enough experience to give them a strategy that's valuable. You have to have enough experience in that niche. And I feel like really a lot of times it really is niche based. It would be hard for me to go into a niche I didn't understand without talking to their customers many years and understanding what works and what doesn't. I just think this is more of a niche based activity. So for me, I think that would be really hard. But the deal is that you have to build all of your building blocks, then get to content strategy and find that nice balance of when do I start content strategy? That's why I'm recommending it now. So if you're watching this video, go to Adrienne Smith, right? It's Adrienne K. Smith. It's down in the description. I'm gonna put it in there. She has great templates. She also has a free email course that tells you all about how to do content strategy and what you need to do for different deliverables. That will plant the seed and help you understand what you need to do before you're probably ready to do content strategy. And then you can be like me and jump on content strategy when you're like, oh, this is my next step. Instead of me that waited too late and I was like, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. So I hope this has been helpful. If you feel like it has been, give it a thumbs up. And for me, I think content strategy is super fun. So if you do content strategy stuff, it should be fun. It should be exciting. You should like doing research. You should like being able to tell people your findings. You should like the idea of giving them a foundation so they can grow their business. You should really enjoy the process of pulling all of these different meaty pieces together and pulling the stats from this thing and the ideas from this thing and mushing them all together and figuring out the puzzle. I think that's, for me, the most exciting part is I love putting the content puzzle together. I love putting everything in the sandbox and then filtering and filtering and filtering until I get the toys that we really need to play with that are the most valuable. Not all the toys that make the biggest difference to their content, their bottom line, and how they're actually moving forward in their business. All right. So I'm glad this was helpful. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. And we're here every Friday. So every Friday I come in here at noon Central Time and we do a live stream. So if you want to join, you can subscribe. And I love that you guys always hang out. I love that you guys welcome each other. I think that's such a great thing. And we're a really friendly community. We always try to welcome everybody. We always try to answer questions. I thought this was a fun one today. This was one of my favorite live streams I've done just because I feel like breaking down content strategy into more bite-sized, understandable chunks makes it feel not so overwhelming. All right, cool. We're going to do one more pup date, and then we're going to hop off. Oh my gosh, Charlotte, you're actually being quiet. I can't believe it. Treato for you. Barry, can you go to your hobbit hole? Come on, bub. Come on. Go to your hobbit hole. There we go. All right. Let's see if he can find it. He did find it. All right, Charlotte, one last high five. Ready? High five. Other one. Other one. Other one. Ow. Other one. Good job. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and I will see you next Friday. Bye. It was all yummy. I love that. Great. Good. I'm glad. Let me make sure. I think that was, who was that? Oh, it's Margaret. That's right. It's Margaret. I always have trouble sometimes when people have different names. Yeah. I'm glad you thought it was yummy, Margaret. And I will see you